Carroll of Zenny63 Media, and I'm continuing my review over the next month or so of 32 teams, the cap situation, their draft, and of course undrafted free agent signings. And I'm going to start this day with the Buffalo Bills. And the Bills, first of all, before I forget, Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers of players who were drafted, mothers of players that were undrafted or signed, tryout players, mothers of members of Draft Twitter, and just mothers in general. It is the most indispensable. We've talked a lot recently about people who do jobs that are, frontline, and jobs that are essential. There's nothing more frontline and nothing more essential than being a mother. So thank you to all the mothers, particularly my mother, Donna Elam Young Carroll. You have earned everything you've had in life, and of course, amongst those things are my undying love and respect. Now, back to football stuff. So, the Bills have put together, obviously, a very good football team. A lot of people have made them the sort of odds-on favorite to win the AFC the last couple of seasons, both last year and this year as well. They entered 2022 with $7,422,478 available on the cap. They've used $201,215,827 of that cap space that they have allotted. And they have a total dead cap of $16,504,620 tied up in or allotted to just a handful of players: Emmanuel Sanders, Jerry Hughes, Mary Addison, Brian Cox Jr., and then Justin Zimmer. Now, Zimmer is a restricted free agent. It is possible he could return. We'll get into that perhaps a little bit later, because at least one of the players they brought in is an undrafted. It might be the player they see as his future replacement. Their cap is tied up in a handful of players. Tre'Davious White, of course, is the greatest recipient. He has a cap hit of $16,403,765. $9.95 million of that is guaranteed salary, and then the rest of it is bonuses. Josh Allen, still a great bargain at a base salary of $4.1 million, and the rest of his total of $16.372 .281, a little over $16 million, is various bonuses, and then Tremaine Edmonds is next. With, at this point, no further bonus money, but $12,716,000 in guaranteed salary, so he's not going anywhere anytime soon. Then Dion Dinkins is next. He's a cap hit of $12,710,294, also obviously not going anyplace. Then we get Stephon Diggs, whose base salary is once again a ludicrously low, $2,575,000, but he's getting over $8 million in bonuses. In fact, close to $9 million in bonuses, and a total cap hit of $11,736,111. Then we get to Jordan Poyer, whose base is $5.6 million. Then he gets another $3.6 in bonus. Well, more than $3.6 million in bonuses, but between his prorated bonus and non-prorated bonus and everything else, and then guaranteed salary, he's a total cap hit of $10,776,471. And the last two I'll talk about are Mitch Morris, and once again, most of those guys are pretty young guys. The only ones over 30 are Poyer at 31 and Morris at 30. Morris is a 1.64, meaning guaranteed money. Bonus prorated of $5.75 million, and then $610,000 in guaranteed money. Total of $8 million against the cap. And last but not least, only 25. Ed Oliver, $3,177,975 is his base, and prorated bonus of $3,082,301, and he has a cap hit of $3,177,975. So, not bad at all for a player who's, once again, young and ascending. And then looking at the class they just brought in via the draft, I think with one or two exceptions, they did extremely well. I'll be slightly critical of a couple of moves, but it's clear that Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott had a couple of things they wanted to go out and do. They clearly wanted to get faster and younger, right? Their team doesn't. They want to improve their run game, both by getting people who are good run blockers and getting, bolstering the running back group. It's also very clear that they wanted to address their secondary, which is perfectly understandable because they play a lot of good wide receivers. They started off the draft pick 23 with Kaiir Elam, and though he's not the world's greatest tackler, I think even Elam might stipulate to that. He ran 4.39 at the combine, and of course, amongst other really fast players they also drafted James Cook, who ran 4.44. Khalil Shakir ran 4.43, and so in that running back room, Devin Singletary, J.D. McKissick, and into a free agency, they clearly wanted to get a big play guy. None of the current running backs on the roster are runaway for you type players, and that's what they got in James Cook. Then they did a fair amount of trading around, up and down at various points. What I wrote down in my notes when I looked at the draft that Brandon Beane put together was targeted aggressiveness, and that's a great way to describe, I think, what they did. So, as you mentioned, pick 63 in the second round, they got James Cook. A guy with a 4.44 40, 31-inch broad. So, like his brother, he's fast but not super explosive. 10.4 broad, which is decent. Like I said, versatile and fast. It's somewhat questionable value because a guy like Rashad White, who is an extremely similar running back, went at pick 91. And it's clear that they wanted Nakobe Dean. Could they have picked him there? Or maybe even at 89. So, at pick 89, they got Terrell Bernard, another really athletic space linebacker who's prepared to play in the modern NFL. Comes from Baylor, and he's sort of a Cato June type, is what my notes said when I watched him. And what you like about him, of course, is comfortable in space, reads things fairly well, and gets there in a hurry. Not a freak athlete, especially not compared to Baylor teammates, but a very good athlete. And once again, when you think about Nakobe Dean being still available, you do question the pick just a little bit. Other than those two picks, I really don't have two other nits to pick, and they sort of made up, right? Using one of the two extra sixth-round picks that they traded for, used pick 203 to trade back up 20 spots, and landed at pick 148 Khalil Shakir. Did you like Robert Woods? You're going to love Khalil Shakir. 5'11", 7'8", 196 pounds, tremendous body control. I don't know if there's a wide receiver in this class with better body control. Really good route runner, and I'm not quite sure what PFF rankings or ratings mean, but with a 92, he has the highest career rating of all of the receivers in the class, or whatever that's worth. But what I will say, when I saw him, you saw a guy that could play any of the positions amongst receiving, right? He play out wide because he's done it and done it at a high level. He can play X, he can play Z, he can play Y. There's no place he can't line up. He can even go in the backfield a little bit. If you're looking, once again, everybody's talking about Devo. He's not that because he's not quite built for that, but he can do it occasionally. He can take, sweeps and, those little touch pass deals with Dana Holgerson touch pass. But what I love about him is just his receiving ability. 4.21 3-cone, which isn't mind-bending, especially for a guy that plays quicker than a 4.21 3-cone. Sorry, 4.21 short shoulder. That would be quick. And a 7.28 3-cone. And both those numbers are a little lower, a little slower than I expected. But he's a guy that had 1,117 yards in receiving, 7 touchdowns, and was a terrific return specialist as well. And then they came back in the sixth at 180 and got quote-unquote punt god, Matt Ariza. Now, the reason that he wasn't the first or even the second punter off the board, he's a tough guy, right? He likes to get down there and get involved in it, especially on kickoff coverage and punt coverage. Pretty good tackler. Not that that's why you draft punters. He has a super strong leg, but he's a little spotty both in hang time and also even in placement. He's not as precise as a Stout or couple other punters who got taken or even undrafted. And then with another sixth rounder, once again, a little bit of applause. I know not everyone's familiar with Christian Benford. I am familiar with Christian Benford. I would have taken Christian Benford in the draft last year, if he declared. He took an extra year. But if you watched him at Villanova, if you didn't watch him at Villanova, I watched him at Villanova. Tremendous player. Good enough size, 6 feet and 1/2 inch, 208 pounds. Could he play safety? Probably. I think he's a good enough corner pick if you mostly play zone to be just fine. He's not that different from Tre'Davious White. And I know this sounds like a crazy thing to say because one guy went to LSU, one guy went to Villanova. But look at the tape, right? And admittedly, he didn't face the same guys that Tre'Davious did. They played up in competition a couple of times, and he handled it just fine. But things that I noticed when I watched him, he can do all the things you need for, right? He can jam you. He can turn and maybe not burn. I mean, he's a 4.53 guy. He's fast enough, and he's got enough length. He's 31 inch arms, if memory serves me correctly. But what I really liked about him was his ability to anticipate, to read routes, to redirect, to get to the ball. 7 interceptions last year. And, once again, good enough athlete. 35-inch vert, 10.4 broad, 4.34 in the short shuttle, 7.1 3-cone. And, like I said, a ball hawk and a sure tackler. I think he's a really good fit for what they do. And then they went next to another guy to help their run game, right? Luke Tenuta is probably a right tackle, but he's played all over. He's played left tackle, 11 games in 2021, played 9 games at right tackle in 2020. 14 games at right tackle, and then another 12. So 34 games. He played everything, but every form of tackle. Could he play guard? Probably. Big kid, 319 pounds, 6'8", and of course John Toulouse is his dad. I think I'm required by law to say either veteran or long-serving or long-time defensive coordinator, and then his brother Zach, behold the green and gold, is the defensive coordinator at my alma mater, Michigan State. And then they finished up with Balen Spector, and I don't want to call him white Terrell Bernard, but a lot of the same things you can say about Bernard, you could say about Spector. He's going to be a terrific special teamer. He's 231 pounds, 16 and 1/8 inch, good athlete, ran 4.6, and some people had him faster than 4.6. Moves well, once again good in space, and definitely helps with special teams. I want to hit on some featured undrafted free agents they got. Not as the obvious jewel in the crown is Jalen Wydermyer, who was a consensus top 50, top 60 pick on almost everybody's top 100 until probably around Thanksgiving, and he started to slide a little bit. And still people had him in the 3rd to 5th until, obviously one of the worst pro days I've ever heard any tight end, particularly a highly rated tight end, ever having. I mean, none of the numbers were good. All of the numbers were bad. And they just got worse as you looked at them. Nobody wants a guy who runs 5 seconds, over 5 seconds as a tight end. But he plays faster. I think he's more like a 4.86 to 4.89-ish guy in terms of how he plays. And it's sort of a poor man's Antonio Gates in the way he plays. But, I mean, his numbers are just stupefyingly bad when he's playing. I'm going to not throw them away because that's a mistake, but I'm going to say I just feel like he had a bad day. I feel like he didn't train correctly. They may have really hit on something, but to get on their situation, obviously Dawson Knox and O.J. Howard are the top 2 tight ends, and they're not going anywhere. He has to beat out Tommy Sweeney to make this team, and I give him every chance to do so. I give him better than 50% chance. And then I mentioned earlier that they move on from Justin Zimmer, who was one of my guys, right? I was a huge Justin Zimmer guy. Early in my sort of draft Twitter career, I had him on my show. I got to know him. A powerhouse, right? Set all the weight room records at his school. They messed around and played him at guard or tried to play him at guard for a while. He's a defensive tackle, and he's finally back home, and he's made him a nice little career. But Prince Emili from Penn is hunting him, right? And of course they keep a lot of players. They had 9 defensive linemen played 20% more of their snaps last season, so there's a chance they may be both on the team. But if they do move on, that helps Prince Emili. 6 feet and 5/8, 295 pounds, 5'1", 2, decent, not amazing. In the 40, 28 bench reps, that's above average. Nowhere close to Justin Zimmer's numbers, who's a powerhouse. But a vertical of 36.5, broad of 9.5, so it shows explosiveness in the lower body, and a 4.5 short shuttle, 3-cone of 7.58. And things that I noticed about him when I watched him. Once again, they asked him to sometimes do things that don't really make all that much sense for a guy his size, but he's playing in the Ivy League. So, he's probably, as close they have to a powerful interior body, even though he's more like I said, he's a 3-tech. I think that he will now get to do nothing but 3-tech things going forward in his career. That is my take on the Bills, their cap, and both their draft and undrafted free agents signing